Straight ahead on CCX News, a crime alert in Golden Valley will show you what's happening in one Golden Valley neighborhood. Plus, end of school year traditions where students look back on the past and think ahead to the future. And later, lining up for donuts to taking a bite out of the apple. CCX News starts right now. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Warmer temperatures have brought an uptick in crime in Golden Valley.
Golden Valley police say that in the past couple of weeks, they've seen an increase in garage burglaries and more reports from people saying they've had possessions stolen from their cars. Delane Cleveland has the story.
Glenwood Avenue in Golden Valley is a high-traffic area with a clear view of downtown Minneapolis.
We love the neighborhood.
Longtime residents like Dexter Marston say it's a part of town that certainly has its perks.
10 minutes from downtown, 5 minutes from downtown, so it's convenient to downtown and things that go on down there.
But according to Golden Valley Police,
it's an easily accessible area.
The location certainly has its fair share of pros and cons.
Highway 100 down to Theodore Worth Parkway has kind of been the targeted zone that we've seen the most activity in the last 2 weeks.
Commander Steve Johnson says that activity consists of theft from autos and burglaries of people's garages.
A lot of this is based on individuals not, number one, securing or locking their cars. Most of the cars that we've had broken into are unlocked vehicles.
Police call it a crime of opportunity, where someone could walk right past a parked car, and if the vehicle is unlocked, they could help themselves to whatever's inside and potentially access the garage or home. Police say they've stepped up patrols, but catching someone in the act is a difficult task.
We could actually drive right by that car or that house and have no idea if that person belongs to that car.
That's why it's important for residents to know their neighbors and be on the lookout for anything that doesn't seem quite right.
We've got a neighborhood watch organization, and you hear people that are concerned about someone that's in the neighborhood that looks suspicious.
But even observant neighbors can't catch everything, especially when people leave valuable possessions in their vehicles when they're parked in the driveway, or in some cases, leave their doors cracked open.
People just think it won't happen to me. And the reality is, it's happening a lot.
The news has certainly served as a wake-up call for Marston, who leaves his golf clubs in his car.
Maybe I should start putting that in the garage, too.
In Golden Valley, Delane Cleveland, CCX News.
Golden Valley police say most of the incidents have happened during the evening hours. They urge residents to call 911 if they see something suspicious and avoid confronting the person committing the crime.
In Brooklyn Center, a close call at a residential swimming pool. The Hennepin County Sheriff's Office says a young child nearly drowned Thursday afternoon. It happened in the 3500 block of 72nd Avenue. When police and firefighters arrived, the child was out of the pool and family members were administering first aid. Police say the child was 3 or 4 years old. He was taken to a hospital. And the Sheriff's Office is reminding parents about safety tips near the water.
It can take only 30 to 45 seconds for a child to drown, so make sure you're keeping an eye on that child, not looking at your phone, not kind of succumbing to other distractions that might be there, but just keep that active eye on your child. Oftentimes, too, when people drown, it can be a very silent act. Don't expect that people are going to yell out or scream or, make a commotion, that type of thing.
Also, a life vest is a good idea as well as making sure your child knows how to swim. Last year, there were 5 accidental drownings in Hennepin County.
2 people from the Northwest Metro spent a few unexpected days in the Boundary Waters canoe area. The St. Louis County Sheriff's Office says Charles Kelly of Brooklyn Park and Pamela Scaia of New Hope were due out on Monday. But when they didn't show up, a search was started. After several days in the woods, they were found safe early this morning near Oyster Lake. A search plane saw a flashlight signal and a helicopter picked them up. A St. Louis County deputy says it's not hard to get turned around in that area.
It's rivers, waters, and swamp and woods. So, that's basically what you're going to see. And there's no real way to navigate unless you know where you're going and you can orient yourself with a map and a compass. And you got to be able to know where you're going and know how to get out.
The 2 canoers were taken to a hospital to be checked out, but there were no apparent injuries.
After leading Buffalo Wild Wings for 21 years, the CEO of the Golden Valley-based company is stepping down. Sally Smith made the announcement just before the company's annual shareholders meeting Friday morning in Minnetonka. She plans to retire at the end of the year. One activist shareholder had wanted Smith out and the company to sell many of its restaurants. In Robbinsdale, this spring's recent heavy rainfall has caused problems for crews working on the Hy-Vee grocery store. Workers had to stop what they were doing to pump water out of the site. Workers are also in the process of removing an old fuel tank used by the former Terrace Theater that had contaminated soil. The city received an $82,000 grant from the state to pay for the cleanup. Neither issue is expected to delay the store's opening. Well, social media feeds Friday were full of posts celebrating National Donut Day.
And there were plenty of opportunities to grab a free donut at coffee shops, gas stations, grocery stores, and of course, donut shops too.
We've gotten phone call after phone call. Is it National Donut Day today? Of course it is. Come on in. So it's been very successful. People have been lined out the door all day.
This is the first National Donut Day for the new Dunkin' Donuts store in New Hope, and managers say they haven't been this busy since the day the store opened as the first Dunkin' Donuts in the Twin Cities metro. The rush started just after 6 this morning and is expected to continue until closing time. People could get a free donut with the purchase of a beverage. National Donut Day is rooted in World War I history to commemorate when the Salvation Army started serving up donuts to soldiers. And despite it being National Donut Day, students at one Maple Grove Elementary School decided to be a tad more health conscious. As each student entered Basswood Elementary, they received an apple for Apple Day. The school handed out almost 1,000 apples as part of their program to promote healthy eating.
We are a Fuel Up to Play 60 school, so we always promote healthy eating, being physically active, and so every year we do, once or twice a year, we do an Apple Day so that we can promote healthy eating and making healthy choices, and it just so happens to be National Donut Day, so it was a perfect pairing.
Fuel Up to Play student leaders passed out the apples this morning. Principal Smith said kids knew that it was Donut Day and it was Apple Day.
But they ate
were
the
okay.
apples.
They
Good
were
for
okay
them.
with that.
Good for them.
Still ahead on CCX News, end of the school year stories filled with emotions and memories.
And then in sports, Maple Grove battles Spring Lake Park for a section championship in softball.
But first, cooler this weekend with a chance for thunderstorms around the lunch hour on Saturday.
The end of the school year brings many emotions, and here are some photos that speak more than words. From a touching tradition in the Hopkins district where teachers wave goodbye at the end of the year and students return the favor, to graduating seniors in the Wayzata district who visit their elementary school at the end of the year to inspire young learners. Then there's commencement, where emotions and memories fill an arena. It was Hopkins' turn Thursday night, and tonight it's the class of 2017 at Wayzata. And the commencement ceremony won't get underway for Osseo seniors until next Saturday.
But already students are missing the 4 years they've spent at their school.
I'm gonna miss all of my friends. There's some that's gonna be going to college with me and some that's going out of states. So hopefully we'll stay in touch.
The best experience I've had here was back in junior year when the Osseo football team won the state title. It was one of the coolest experiences of my life to be part of a great crowd.
Osseo has a lot of school spirit. When the football games come out, the orange and black is all out, and it makes me really happy because I'm a cheerleader.
I'm gonna miss everyone here at the school, not just my friends, but everyone who makes Osseo like who we are. I feel like when I walk into the school every day, the atmosphere is like always so cheerful and like welcoming.
And congratulations to all the graduates. Still ahead, a slice of Branson, Missouri comes to Plymouth.
But first, local track and field athletes race for spots in the state meet. Jay Wilcox has the highlights next.
I'm Jay Wilcox with sports. Great weather greeted athletes for the second day of the Section 6AA track and field finals. Hamlin University, the site, and the girls 100 meters on the right in red is Armstrong's Michaela Baker, and she wins in a time of 14:80. The girls 4x200 relay, Mallory Marshall brings it home for Wayzata. The Trojans' winning time is 1:43.26. A great finish in the boys 1600 as Hopkins' Seth Eliason has to give it all to hold off Wayzata's Khalid Hussein. Both runners qualify for state. The girls' shot put Armstrong's Alexandria Hurst as the defending state champion, and she wins the section title with a best of 44.5, and she also wins the discus. Boys discus, Benilde St. Margaret's Eric Wilson is the champion with the best throw of 148.3, and he also wins the shot put. Back to the track, Wayzata's Sophie Triplett guts out a win in a very close 200-meter dash. Triplett's winning time is 25:45. Girls triple jump, Armstrong's Baker continues a good day as she wins with a best of 38 feet, 7.5 inches. She also wins the long jump. Wayzata was second in the girls and boys team competition. In Section 5 4A softball, the Maple Grove and Spring Lake Park softball teams were matched up in the final for a second straight season. Maple Grove unbeaten in the double elimination tournament. Spring Lake Park coming in with a loss to the Crimson earlier in the tourney. The Panthers get a jump on the Crimson early. Haley Jones comes through with a 2-out, 2-run single in the top of the first to get SLP on the board. Next up is Kylie Cruz, and she lines a hit down the right field line, and it gets all the way to the corner. Bria Parrish and Jones score on a triple by Cruz. As Spring Lake Park jumps out to an 8-0 lead on the way to an 8-4 win, forcing a second game for the championship. In the second game, pitcher Jones trying to get the Panthers back to state for a second year in a row, but in this game it's the Crimson who score early and often. Ava Dueck doubles to the fence in center field. Jade Tomaszek scores, and it's 1-0 Maple Grove in the top of the first. Next up is Erin Roll, and she sends another rocket to the outfield. Marie Palanch and Sophie Zwock score to make it a 3-0 game for the fired-up Crimson. Later in the inning, Sophie Culhane will drive a ball to right center for extra bases. Taylor Wente scores on Culhane's double to make it 4-0 after half an inning. And we jump ahead to the bottom of the seventh. The Panthers within a run at 5-4, and they have the bases loaded. But Cruz grounds out to Eleanor Shuddy to end the ball game. Maple Grove is section champion. They'll find out Saturday their first-round opponent at state. Totino Grace won the Section 4 3A title, and Hopkins is playing in the 6 4A final Friday. We'll have more on those games coming up Monday on Sports Jam. Spots in the state girls and boys golf tournaments were on the line at day 2 of the Section 5 3A tournaments. Jen Galloway of Maple Grove tees off at the links of North Fork. She's headed to state after placing third with a 2-day total of 168. Peyton Levis has the top score for Rogers with a 169 as she leads the Royals to the team title. Megan Municky of Champlain Park is oh so close to sinking this putt for par on hole number 11. Municky ties for the final spot to state as an individual. Advancing to day 2 but not qualifying for state, Maddie Gorman of Osseo, who birdies number 11 here. Also Sydney Schulte of Maple Grove, who sinks the par putt on hole number 4 at the links, along with Layla Franklin of Park Center. To the boys, and first day co-leader Michael Sorrow of Champlain Park tees off at Bunker Hills. He knocks down the par putt on West number 4, and he's headed to state after tying for second with a 148. Maple Grove's Dylan Hansen is just left on a birdie try on West number 3, but he is moving on to state with a 153 total. 2 of his teammates fall just short though. Tyler Burkham nails the birdie putt on West number 1 and finishes at 156. And that's tied with another Crimson golfer, Peyton Miller. Miller's 20-footer for birdie on West number 4 drops, but he's also at 156. St. Michael Albertville wins the boys title. Using the right jig and rod is one of the keys to catching walleyes late in the spring. Terry Tuma explains in this week's CCX Sports Fishing Tip.
With the walleye fishing in full swing right now, jigs, of course, are still going to be very productive through June, but throughout the whole summer, in fact, depending on where we're fishing, what we're using for live bait with that jig. But one thing I do want to mention, because we had some great success for the opener with using jigs, is using the proper size to be in contact with the bottom. You don't want any jigs that are going to be too heavy or too light, and you do want to consider using heavier jigs if you got very active fish in deeper water. What we have to understand is making sure that we keep that jig exactly in that strike window where those fish are at. Then along with that, to answer some of those questions that we've been receiving lately, is the rod. A rod is a big factor in us catching fish. I do believe that a longer rod, 7 feet, 7'2", 7'4", that I have right here, is a big factor. Too often, if it's bass fishing, fishing with tube jigs, or if you're fishing fishing with walleye, for walleyes with jigs, it really doesn't make any difference. Even by bait rigging, for that matter, too off for many species of fish. We wait for this stump, this real strong bite, if you will. Under many circumstances, bass and walleye, it's just going to be something that's going to be a little bit heavy. Set the hook, you got to fish on. Do pay attention to that rod. It's going to make a big difference in your success every day on the water.
Thanks, Terry, and that's all for sports. Mike and Shannon, back to you.
All right, Jay, thank you, and we'll be right back.
And finally, it's time to find your best sequin suit and sit back and enjoy some old-fashioned country music.
In our weekend showcase, a little bit of Branson, Missouri has found its way to the Plymouth Playhouse.
Oh, the sun's gonna shine in my life once more.
If you can identify that song as a Buck Owens number, this is the show for you. Traditional country and western and lots of fun.
It's our job to entertain you. It's your job to be entertained.
The Branson on the Road show features music of Hank Williams, Marty Robbins, and Johnny Cash. And that's what the band members grew up with.
Country and bluegrass. My family played music growing up, so I was always around it, and it was just kind of a natural thing for me to do.
Bass player Brian Capps doesn't just play the bass, it's something they call the slap bass.
He grabs one of those strings, he pulls it up, and then it hits his hand against that board. That's it.
It's pretty complicated.
And while Capps played in a rockabilly band for a while, he never lost the love of classic country.
Yeah, you find a common bond, wherever we go. I mean, there's, people are people, and people love, this stuff. It's true to heart music.
Debbie Horton put this show together not just for country fans, but anyone looking to be entertained.
It's all hand clapping, toe tapping, uplifting music, and we make sure everybody has a good time.
Horton says Johnny Cash was a close friend, and she even got a surprise call on stage once.
In the middle of the show, he says, there's a young lady here named Debbie. She's been to a lot of our shows, good friend. Debbie, come play the guitar for me, right in the middle of the show.
So she played and became the only woman to play lead guitar for Johnny Cash. And be sure to sit close enough to check out what Debbie is wearing. It's a handmade suit, rhinestones and all, made by a tailor named Manuel, who made jumpsuits for Elvis and costumes the Beatles wore on Sgt. Pepper.
Rhinestones are all like a wearable piece of art.
But this show is about memories, music, and just being entertained. Branson on the Road appears at the Plymouth Playhouse now through June 18th with performances every day except on Mondays. And they have a lot of fun. You don't have to love country music. It helps, but it'll be a good time.
They're a good group.
That's it for now. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
We'll see you again with the weekend edition of CCX News.